Yo, how's it going everybody? Chadley here, and in today's video I'm going to teach you guys how to do billions of damage with the elemental crit anointment. So normally this anointment really isn't that great, but there's a little trick we can do to make it hit for billions even with a level 1 pistol like you guys saw in that opening clip. So this anointment, just to read it real quick if you guys are unfamiliar, elemental crits can cause status effects of that element to explode, creating a nova that deals 500% of the status effects damage. So real quick, before we get into how we make it do billions, I just want to get into the basics of this anointment. So what this is actually going to do is take the status effect of the element you're shooting. So say we're on the radiation side of our plasma coil here. If we have radiation dots on the enemy and we hit a crit, we can make it deal the nova. So if you're just shooting with the plasma coil, you're going to get to that 101,000 damage per second on the enemy, and you will deal 500% of that. So when you guys are seeing the tick damage on the enemies, it's going to be a third of that. So you get 3 ticks for every 1 second. So that 101,000 is going to be divided by 3, and that's the number you're going to see ticking. But then it will add those 3 numbers up and then deal 500% of that. And then that will also get boosted by splash and stuff if you have that. That's just the base nova before any boosts. But what this will also do, say you're throwing like a radiation hex grenade and you have that doing a radiation dot on them as well, it's going to combine the 2 radiation dots into one and then deal 500% of that. So both of those damage per seconds are going to combine, and you will deal 500% of those 2 combined. And we can take that into our advantage when we use the Unleash the Dragon. Now, this artifact, you can on flak hit for hundreds and hundreds of millions per tick, and in some cases, if you try hard enough, over damage cap per tick. So if we take 3 of those ticks, add them together, we can get 500% of that as our nova. So all we need to do to trigger that is use a fire weapon with that anointment and then get that crit. So just to show this off real quick, if we go ahead and melee Kevin with Unleash the Dragon on, as you can see, we tick right around like 5,600 damage, right around there. It doesn't have to be exact. So if we take that 5,600 damage, multiply that by 3, because that will be our overall damage per second, and then multiply that number by 5, it should be what our elemental nova is going to be when we shoot them with a fire weapon. So let's go ahead and test it out here. So if we look at what our predicted value would be with those numbers, we'd get 84k. So as you guys can see here, we have the tick damage right around that 5,600. Obviously it kind of varies, and we just picked a number in that range. And then the 38k is the actual gun itself critting. And then right here, you can see it's 83k. With some rounding, it's basically 84,000. So that exactly checks out. And then obviously if we had our guns fire damage over time on them as well, it would combine and we get an even bigger number here. So you can trigger this anointment basically any way you can hit a crit with a fire elemental item. So on flak, if we have Megavore, we can actually use a hunter seeker, a fire hunter seeker, to trigger the anointment when we hit a crit with Megavore, which is pretty cool. And also when we have bonus incendiary damage, flak's racks can also cause it. So those bonus elements can crit with Megavore and the racks, and that can actually proc the anointment as well. So now to get the most out of the anointment, what we need to do is make it so our Unleash the Dragon dot is as big as possible. So there's a couple ways we can do that. Now, if you guys have ever seen Quag's rack stab build, it's going to be pretty similar because that is obviously focused on boosting melee damage and all these things with a stinger shield. So if we get ourselves an action skill start stinger, that's going to help us get a bigger Unleash the Dragon dot. Then also on our class mods, we can have splash damage be on there. So what that is going to do is actually boost the Unleash the Dragon dot from our stinger, because this is applied based on the damage of the melee that procs it. And then also when the nova goes off, that splash damage is going to be applied again and then further increase that nova damage. And then to top it off, what we can do is hold a 390 Psycho Stabber, activate the Unleash the Dragon dot, and then swap over to any fire weapon with this anointment. You can even do it with the level 1 companion like I did at the start of the video, but it really does not matter. The damage that this is going to do is peanuts compared to the overall damage that Unleash the Dragon is going to combine into for the anointment. So it really does not matter. You guys can take your pick on what fire weapon you use. So now I just wanted to walk you guys through how I did that companion hit at the very start of the video. So as you guys can see, I do have the level 1 companion on with that anointment. So all we're going to do is go ahead and drop into the Psycho Reaver fight. And then also something else to note is I'm using 100 melee on the Psycho Stabber. 390 is actually too strong. You guys really won't see the effect of the Nova too much. The Unleash the Dragon dot is just too high. So there's actually really nothing in the game at the moment that has enough health to just be straight up as strong as you can be, and then also get the full benefit of the Nova and see the full effect of it. So this is able to be scaled up in the future if they add harder content or enemies with more health. This will be something you guys can do and actually see more of a use for it. But otherwise, let's go ahead and jump into this fight. All I'm going to do is throw some Hunter Seekers to get Interplanetary Stalker stacks, just because I need a little bit more since we're not using 390. Usually like 1 to 2 stacks of Interplanetary Stalker is fine. I'm going to run up, activate our Nova so we get the Unleash the Dragon dot, swap over to our companion, and then if I hit a headshot right there, it will trigger the elemental crit Nova and put him to his immune phase. So like I said, this weapon does not matter. It just needs to be a fire weapon, just something to trigger that anointment. That's really all you need. There's obviously weapons that you can be feeling more comfortable with. So the bitch is another great option. It is very accurate, has a large magazine size, so you can use that. But it really does not matter at the end of the day. There's really no enemy in the entire game that is beefy enough to not be one-shot by this anointment when you are using this Unleash the Dragon method. Now, you guys can actually take this method to whatever character you want. I just think Flak is going to be doing it the best, but I would imagine Amara and Zane can make it work pretty well. Moze would just be a little tough to constantly have that big Unleash the Dragon Nova on them when using the snare, because obviously she has Iron Cub and Iron Bear. It's pretty hard to do action skill start stuff with her, but I'm sure you can make it work in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, that's basically this anointment in a nutshell and how powerful you can make it be when using this Unleash the Dragon method. Now, you could obviously get even more crazy if you throw in some debuffs and stuff, but there's literally no enemy in the entire game that is strong enough to live the dot from the Unleash the Dragon, so you can't even make this Nova do anything because you can't actually get it to proc. The enemy will be dead before you can swap over to a weapon with this anointment. Yeah, hopefully you found this as crazy as I did. If you did find it crazy and this video helpful, make sure you guys leave a thumbs up on it to let me know. It really helps me out. Also, if you guys want to see more crazy Borderlands content, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We'll have videos out all the time. Also, Cyberpunk is being released next week. We will also have content on that. Otherwise, we stream every single night right around 8 p.m. Eastern, so hopefully I will see you guys over there. But I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next video. See ya!